you still are going to be arrested. For what? Okay. You don't have any proof on me. No, ma'am, I do. Okay. What's your proof?
GloRilla has been arrested again, and this time, she's not staying quiet. She just sent a video message from behind bars, speaking on the entire situation. But that's not all. She's dragging her entire label into it. Were they involved in her bizarre arrest? Let's break it all down. The break-in that changed everything. They say jail changes people, but for Gloria Hallelujah Woods, better known as GloRilla, it wasn't just the cell bars or the fluorescent lights that hit the hardest. It was the betrayal by the very system she believed would protect her. Let's rewind the clock. Picture this. You're one of the hottest rappers in the game right now. You've just performed at the prestigious WNBA All-Star Game in Indianapolis, giving thousands of fans an unforgettable show. You're riding high on success, with your debut album, Glorious, having debuted at number 5 on the Billboard 200, and you're preparing for your next big performance. Life couldn't be better, right? Well, that's exactly where GloRilla found herself on July 19, 2025, completely unaware that in just a few hours, her world would be turned completely upside down.
So, GloRilla was arrested in Georgia on felony drug charges and was booked Tuesday in Forsyth County, Georgia. I believe I'm saying that correct. The charges were possession of a scheduled controlled substance and possession of marijuana over 1 ounce.
While GloRilla was hundreds of miles away in Indianapolis, basking in the glory of another successful performance, something sinister was brewing at her luxurious residence in the upscale St. Marlowe Country Club neighborhood in Forsyth County, Georgia. At approximately 1:30 a.m. on July 20th, 2025, Forsyth County Sheriff's deputies received a call that would set off a chain of events so controversial it would spark nationwide debate about police priorities and justice in America. The call was about a burglary in progress. 3 suspects had broken into GloRilla's home while she was away. But this wasn't just any ordinary break-in. These weren't some desperate junkies looking for quick cash or teenagers pulling a stupid prank. No, these were calculated criminals who seemed to know exactly what they were doing and, more importantly, exactly when to strike. An armed individual inside the home fought back, firing shots at the intruders in what can only be described as a scene straight out of an action movie. The sound of gunfire echoing through the upscale neighborhood must have been absolutely terrifying for everyone involved. The suspects fled the scene unharmed, and thankfully, no injuries were reported among the occupants. But here's the thing that should make your blood boil. As of the time we're recording this video, the suspects escaped and have not been apprehended, with the burglary investigation ongoing. Let that sink in for a moment. 3 armed criminals broke into someone's home, terrorized the people inside, stole valuable property, and then vanished into the night like ghosts. The people who were supposed to be protected, the victims of this violent crime, called the police and did everything right. They defended themselves, they cooperated with law enforcement, and they waited for justice to be served. But what happened next is where this story goes from being a simple home invasion to becoming one of the most outrageous examples of misplaced police priorities you'll ever hear. During the on-scene investigation, deputies detected a strong odor of marijuana, prompting them to involve the Lanier Regional Drug Task Force and obtain a search warrant.
Well, the police said in a statement that I received that while they were searching the unit to see what was taken and just figure out the crime scene, they smelled a strong odor that was consistent with illegal narcotics. And as a result of that, the Lanier Regional Drug Task Force was contacted and responded to the residents.
Now, I want you to really think about this for a second. You've got armed criminals on the loose who have just committed a violent home invasion. You've got traumatized victims who need support and protection. You've got stolen property that needs to be recovered and returned to its rightful owners. And you've got a neighborhood that needs to feel safe again, knowing that dangerous criminals are still roaming free. But instead of focusing their entire attention and resources on catching these dangerous criminals, what do the police decide to do? They smell what they believe to be marijuana and immediately pivot their entire investigation away from the violent crime that brought them there in the first place. They call in the drug task force, they obtain search warrants, and they begin treating the victims of the crime like they're the real criminals. A search of the master bedroom closet revealed approximately 2.8 pounds of marijuana and 2 jars of THC wax, a concentrated form of THC, classified as a Schedule I controlled substance under Georgia law.
They sent me a statement, and in the statement, they say that the reason why they were able to arrest her was because the weed that they found was in a closet in the master bedroom.
Now, here's where the story gets even more infuriating. GloRilla's attorneys, Marissa Goldberg and Drew Finling, disputed the characterization, claiming only a small amount was found, and criticizing law enforcement for prioritizing the drug discovery over pursuing the burglars. Think about the optics of this situation for just a moment. You have a successful, Grammy-nominated artist who has worked her way up from working at fast food restaurants to selling out arenas across the country. She's become a role role model for young women, especially young black women, showing them that they can overcome any obstacle and achieve their dreams through hard work and determination. And then, in one night, all of that gets overshadowed because some criminals decided to target her home, and the police decided that a small amount of marijuana was more important than catching violent criminals. The irony is so thick you could cut it with a knife. She turns herself in days later and gets booked on felony marijuana possession.
The internet is calling out what's happening to GloRilla right now, and honestly, can you even blame them? So earlier this week, GloRilla turned herself in after being hit with felony drug charges. But here's where it gets wild. The whole thing started because her home in Georgia got broken into at like 1:30 in the morning.
And then she drops a video that hits harder than any diss track. Her tweet following the arrest went viral. Millions of impressions in hours. Instead of focusing on finding the suspects, they focus on some cannabis. But it's more than just weed. This is about being targeted, criminalized, silenced. And if you're thinking this was a first-time thing, think again. The arrest that shocked the world. Now, here's where this story goes from being outrageous to being absolutely mind-blowing. Remember, at this point, GloRilla is still in Indianapolis, completely unaware of the chaos that's unfolding at her home. She's probably winding down from her performance, maybe celebrating with her team, or perhaps already planning her next move in what has been an incredibly successful career. But while she's living her life, completely innocent and hundreds of miles away from the scene of the crime, the wheels of what can only be described as a deeply flawed justice system are already turning against her. Reports vary slightly on the quantity of marijuana described as significant, but the amount exceeds 1 ounce, elevating the charge to a felony in Georgia. Let me break this down for you because the legal implications here are staggering. In Georgia, marijuana possession is treated very differently depending on the amount. If you're caught with less than an ounce, it's considered a misdemeanor, basically a slap on the wrist with maybe a fine and some community service. But cross that 1 ounce threshold, and suddenly you're looking at felony charges with potential prison time of 1 to 10 years. So here we have GloRilla, a victim of a violent crime, facing the possibility of up to a decade in prison because of what was found in her own home while she wasn't even there. The criminals who actually broke into her house, terrorized her family, and stole her property, they're still walking free, probably planning their next heist while she's facing life-changing legal consequences. GloRilla voluntarily surrendered to Forsyth County authorities on July 22, 2025, and was booked on 2 charges: felony possession of marijuana, punishable by 10 years in prison if convicted, and possession of a Schedule I controlled substance. Can you imagine what must have been going through her mind during this whole ordeal? Here's a young woman who has worked incredibly hard to build her career, who has overcome poverty and countless obstacles to achieve success, and now she's being treated like a common criminal because she was the victim of a crime. She was released the same day after posting a $22,260 bond, but the damage was already done. The mugshot was taken, the charges were filed, and the media circus was about to begin. What makes this situation even more infuriating is the statement released by Forsyth County Sheriff Ron Freeman. Freeman issued a statement acknowledging GloRilla as a victim of the burglary, while emphasizing that law enforcement must continue to uphold and enforce the law in all aspects of the case.
At the end of their statement, they do say this, they are the police down there say, the homeowner is a victim of a serious crime and we are committed to bringing the suspect to justice. This was a statement from the sheriff. But he says at the same time, we must continue to uphold and enforce the law in all aspects of this case.
Now, on the surface, that might sound reasonable. Law enforcement should uphold the law, right? But let's dig deeper into what this statement really means. What Sheriff Freeman is essentially saying is that even though they acknowledge she's a victim of a violent crime, they're going to treat her like a criminal anyway because they found something they don't like in her house. But here's the question that nobody seems to be asking. Where are the arrest warrants for the actual criminals? Where's the same level of urgency and resources being dedicated to catching the people who committed the violent crime that started this whole mess? As of July 29th, 2025, no. Court dates or further legal proceedings have been publicly detailed, and the case remains active. The optics of this situation are absolutely terrible for law enforcement. You have a young, successful black woman who is being punished for being the victim of a crime, while the actual criminals who committed armed robbery and terrorized innocent people are walking free. It's the kind of story that makes you question everything you thought you knew about justice and fairness in America. And GloRilla? Well, she wasn't about to stay quiet about this injustice. Her response would ignite social media and spark a conversation that went far beyond just her individual case. This was about to become a symbol of everything that's wrong with how our justice system treats different people and prioritizes different crimes. But before we get into her explosive response and the social media firestorm that followed, we need to talk about something that makes this story even more complex and controversial. This wasn't GloRilla's first encounter with Georgia law enforcement. In fact, this was her second arrest in the state within just over a year, and the first one tells us a lot about how she's been targeted by police even when she's trying to live her life peacefully. On April 16th, 2024, she was arrested arrested in Suwannee, Gwinnett County, after being pulled over around 4 a.m. for an illegal U-turn at a red light. What started as a simple traffic stop quickly escalated when officers claimed they could smell alcohol and marijuana coming from her vehicle.
But not only can I smell alcohol coming from your breath, but I can also smell marijuana coming from this car. Okay? So in just a moment, I'll be searching this car. Is there anything that I'm going to find in this car?
I have a gun registered to my name.
The body camera footage from that arrest is particularly telling. You can see GloRilla trying to cooperate with the officers, trying to explain that she's not impaired, but the officers had already made up their minds about what was going to happen. Officers noted her eyes were watery and bloodshot, and she admitted to drinking alcohol but insisted she was fit to drive. She failed multiple field sobriety tests, as captured in released body cam footage.
The evaluations are stating that you are over the legal limit to be driving right now.
Oh, where the proof at? I just passed everything. I did everything you told me.
In addition to DUI, she faced charges for possession of marijuana, less than 1 ounce, a misdemeanor, and an open container violation. She was booked and released on bond a few hours later. So now we have a pattern emerging. This is a young woman who has been repeatedly targeted by Georgia law enforcement, and each time, the focus seems to be on finding reasons to arrest her rather than treating her fairly and with respect. It's starting to look less like a series of unfortunate coincidences and more like systematic harassment of a successful Black artist. The parallels between these two arrests are striking. In both cases, GloRilla found herself in situations where she was either a victim or someone who was simply trying to live her life. And in both cases, law enforcement seemed more interested in finding ways to charge her with crimes than in treating her fairly. But this latest arrest was different. This time, she wasn't just going to accept the injustice quietly. This time, she was going to fight back, and her response would expose the deep flaws in a system that seems designed to criminalize success when it comes from certain communities. The pattern of legal troubles. Here's what most people don't know about GloRilla's legal history. The problems didn't start when she became famous. They go back to her teenage years, revealing a pattern of encounters with the justice system that paint a picture of a young woman who has been repeatedly targeted throughout her life. During her adolescence, long before anyone knew the name GloRilla, Gloria Woods was arrested for shoplifting. But this wasn't just a simple theft case. According to her own account, she spent nearly 3 years in jail for stealing boxes of cereal from Kmart. Let that sink in for a moment. 3 years for cereal. Now, initially, this seemed so outrageous that many people, including some media outlets, thought it was a joke. In fact, GloRilla herself had to clarify on social media that while she was being humorous about some aspects of the story, the core truth remained. She had serious legal consequences for what was essentially a teenage mistake.
You actually did 3 years in jail.
Wow. Yeah, I did.
Except from stealing from Kmart cereal.
Yeah.
This don't sound right. No, I want you to be honest, because you've got this on the paper.
I don't like the fact that you dug that up.
No, we're gonna cut the cameras. No, but that, like, you didn't go to jail for 3 years for stealing cereal, right?
Yes, I did.
Cereal?
Yeah.
She later clarified on X, formerly Twitter, "You really sat y'all up there and believed I went to jail for 3 years for stealing cereal, and that's why you hearts be in y'all today, because y'all believe whatever tell you." While she was calling out people for believing the specific details, the underlying reality of her having legal troubles over shoplifting as a teenager was never disputed. But even before the shoplifting arrest, GloRilla's legal troubles can be traced back to her survival instincts in a difficult environment. Growing up in a strict religious household where secular music was forbidden, she and her siblings developed what could only be described as a small-scale criminal operation. We used to steal Lil Wayne and Drake CDs from Walmart. We'd steal the CDs and download all the songs onto the PlayStation. That was the only way we could listen to other music, she recounted in interviews. Her older brothers extended this into a small-scale hustle by selling the stolen CDs at school, smuggling in hip-hop culture against their parents' rules. While this might seem like typical teenage rebellion to some, it's important to understand the context. This was a young Black woman learning early that the system wasn't designed to accommodate her needs or desires. When legal paths weren't available to access something as basic as popular music, she turned to illegal means. It's a pattern that would continue throughout her life. As GloRilla's fame grew, so did the legal complications surrounding her career. In March 2023, during a joint performance with Finesse 2 times at the Main Street Armory in Rochester, New York, a stampede erupted after the show ended. 3 women died, and 9 others were injured when concertgoers panicked and rushed the exits after hearing what they thought were gunshots. While GloRilla wasn't directly charged in connection with the deaths, the incident sparked multiple lawsuits and raised serious questions about artist responsibility and safety at hip-hop concerts. This tragic event showed how quickly GloRilla GloRilla's presence could be associated with violence and legal liability, even when she wasn't directly at fault. Then, in late 2023, another concerning incident occurred during a performance at a Memphis venue. A dispute among audience members escalated into chaos, leading to police intervention and GloRilla being arrested on charges of disorderly conduct and inciting a riot. Her legal team argued she was merely performing and not responsible for the crowd's actions, but the arrest highlighted how her very presence had become associated with legal trouble. The criminal charges are only part of the story. GloRilla has also faced multiple civil lawsuits that reveal a pattern of contractual disputes and financial conflicts that suggest someone who either struggles with business obligations or is being taken advantage of by others. In May 2024, Atlanta-based investor Aristotle Varner Jr. publicly accused GloRilla of defrauding him out of over $400,000. The allegations stem from a 2022 contract where Varner claims he paid GloRilla $150,000 for promotional services, but she only partially fulfilled the agreement. According to court documents, Varner paid GloRilla for 3 specific services: a collaborative Instagram post promoting his business, an in-person meet and greet event, and a 30-minute interview. Varner alleges that GloRilla only completed the Instagram post and failed to deliver on the meet and greet and interview. Varner described the situation as a result of GloRilla's celebrity cocky attitude, suggesting she became unwilling to complete the obligations after gaining more fame. She was already big. It's just, celebrity cocky. I'm not going to fulfill the contract. You know how that go, he said in a radio interview. The legal troubles extend into her creative work as well. In November 2024, Florida-based rapper Plies accused GloRilla, along with Megan Thee Stallion, Cardi B, and Soulja Boy, of unlawfully using elements from his 2008 song Me and My Goons in their hit Wanna Be. While this lawsuit was eventually dropped in March 2025, it highlighted how GloRilla's success has made her a target for legal challenges. Then, in June 2025, she faced another copyright lawsuit from social media influencer Natalie Henderson, who claimed GloRilla stole her viral "No BBL" catchphrase for use in a song without permission. When you look at all of these incidents together, the pre-fame shoplifting, the teenage CD theft operation, the 2024 DUI arrest, the concert-related legal issues, the civil lawsuits, and now the 2025 drug possession charges, a disturbing pattern emerges. This is a young black woman who has been criminalized at every stage of her life. As a teenager, she was incarcerated for what amounts to petty theft. As a rising star, she was arrested for drinking and driving. As an established artist, she's been sued for breach of contract and copyright infringement. And now, as a victim of a violent crime, she's facing felony charges while the actual criminals walk free. This isn't just about one arrest or one incident. This is about a system that has been designed to criminalize black women from the moment they show any signs of independence, creativity, or success. GloRilla's story is the story of countless young black women in America who find themselves trapped in a cycle of criminalization that follows them no matter how successful they become. The fact that she's faced legal consequences for everything from stealing music as a teenager to being the victim of a home invasion as an adult shows that the system isn't interested in justice. It's interested in control. And GloRilla's response to her latest arrest would expose this hypocrisy in a way that resonated with millions of people who recognized their own struggles in her story. This context makes her social media response even more powerful because it wasn't just about one incident. It was about a lifetime of being criminalized for existing while black and successful. And people were about to see exactly how she planned to fight back. Click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this.